Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here today for our first gen professional AMA. We're really excited to be able to have you all here today for our first session. Just for everyone in here, it's really focused on thinking about how we're contributing to our students' knowledge of the college and career pathways, especially for first gen students. And the opportunity will be to listen to some first gen professionals and ask any questions of our guests today to understand their journeys. Just a couple expectations, and students know what this means, but like make sure we keep it BT, so be respectful of the presenters and of just, of one another. Also one mic, so I know it's easier on Zoom to be one mic, but just ensure that we're listening to one another. And then ask questions, especially during the question portion. So make sure, students, that you have your questions ready. So once we get there, then you could share, we could share some of those your experiences. So what to expect? So we'll have a set of questions for our panelists today, and then we'll open it up to any questions from the audience, and then we'll just close it up with some closing thoughts as well. But I'm really excited to get to welcome Belinda, Lacey, and Marissa today from the Taco Bell Foundation to be able to share their experiences as first-gen professionals. We know as a program, it's really important for us to think about that journey for our students, especially in middle school and high school, when they're really thinking and forming their ideas of what their future career could look like, and really having the opportunity today to get to listen to some first-gen professionals is going to be, I think, our hope is that you leave with more information to help inform, what you want to do in life. That's kind of the goal, right? It's like, what is life? What are you going to do with life now after this session? That's really what's going to happen. So to get started, I want to have our guests introduce themselves. So if you could just share your name, share your title and your role. We could start with Lacey. You want to start first, and we'll work our way up.
Yeah, sure. My name is Lacey Gayton, and my official title is Associate Manager for the Taco Bell Foundation. It doesn't really tell you a whole lot about what I do. So in a nutshell, what I get to do for the foundation is oversee all of our marketing, communications, and fundraising efforts.
I'll jump in after. My name is Marissa. I'm also part of the Taco Bell Foundation's the Programs and Partnerships team. Lacey's team raises the money and my team spends the money. So we manage our grants program as well as our Lidmoss Scholarship program. So for you soon-to-be college students or currently college students, Lidmoss Scholarship, give it a quick Google search, visit us at tacobellfoundation.org. We will be launching our program. This is actually not on our website yet, so you guys are one of the first people to hear. But early November 17th might be the secret date. But sign up on our website to receive an email notification on when that application window opens up.
Awesome. So I'll go last. Hi, everyone. My name is Belinda Lamb, and I am the Finance Associate Manager for the Taco Bell Foundation. If Lacey's team raises the money, Marissa's team spends the money, my team tracks the money. So I oversee the money we fundraise in stores and give out in scholarships and grants.
Great, thank you so much for the introduction and for the quick share out about the scholarship. Cool, so I think we'll just get going, and maybe we'll do the same order. We'll go like Lacey, Marissa, Belinda in this order, and then we'll keep going that order if that works. But the first question then, Lacey, is, so what is your story? Where did you grow up, and tell us about yourself.
Yeah. So I actually, I started out in Torrance, California, and moved to Orange County to Santa Ana when I was in about first grade, and I've lived in Santa Ana ever since. I am the only girl with two brothers, an older and a younger brother. We are all pretty close in age, so one right after the other in grades. And we come from, there's only three of us, but we're a pretty large family on both sides. My parents are both one of seven, so there's always plenty of cousins around and lots of large family gatherings.
Cool, I'm up. I grew up, my family, a little bit of Riverside area, so we moved to Orange County, specifically Irvine, when I was in about fifth grade. And we've been there pretty much ever since. Taco Bell headquarters is actually in Irvine, so we're all based out of pretty close to you guys. And two siblings from obviously first-gen student and immigrant family. So yeah, a little bit about myself. Went to college locally too. I went to community college and then transferred and then was a commuter to Cal State Fullerton.
So I'm up. I was born and raised in East LA. I spent all of my time there until I went to school in Orange County. I am the oldest of three. So basically raised my brother and sister as well, even though they wouldn't admit that. And I spent most of my life in Southern California. I had a 2.5-year stint in Kentucky, which was fun. And I don't know if I said this already, second generation Chinese American. My dad's family came as refugees from the Vietnam War. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. So as we get into, if you like transport yourself back to middle school, and can you tell us about what was your middle school through college journey? Obviously, you have to share like every single like year or every piece of it, but whatever stands out to you in that journey from middle school through college, like what can you tell us about that? What was it like for you?
Yeah, so I went to a very small elementary school. I think my 8th grade graduating class was 13 kids. So really, really tiny school, and just down the street from my house, which that was very nice, very easy to get to. And we could walk to school, sometimes got dropped off. We had friends in the neighborhood that we would carpool with. But big change for me was going to high school. The high school in my area is not a really great high school, and my parents both grew up in the South Bay and went to Lawndale and Torrance high schools and had some rough experiences in high schools and really didn't want that for my brothers and I. So my parents made a lot of sacrifices to actually be able to send us to a boarding school out of state. So I went to high school in Michigan, which was a huge, huge culture shock, coming from Southern California and attending a high school in Saginaw, Michigan. Besides from the winter, there's a lot of foods that you can't get. My mom shipped me avocados pretty regularly, which was a lifesaver. But it was a big change for me. I had to learn a lot of things really quickly, how to do them on my own and without my parents around. And after 4 years there, while I enjoyed my experience, had a really great time there, I was done with winter and was ready to come back to some California sunshine. So I looked at a lot of different colleges, and, as a first generation student, there wasn't like a guide, like no one's saying, look at these schools or those schools. So the schools that you know about are the ones that you hear in TV shows or movies, or that someone knows someone that went there. So I knew about UCLA and USC and applied to those schools. And when you apply for a UC, like UCLA, there's like a checkbox and you can apply for all the UCs, and kind of not knowing what I was getting myself into. Or my parents just said, well, try them all. Like, we don't know either. So kind of checked the box, and lo and behold, I ended up at UCI, just down the freeway from where I grew up.
And kind of similar story here with Lacey, kind of, sort of, not really. My family, like I mentioned, we were living in Riverside, and my older sister was about to enter middle school, and the schools out in Riverside weren't the best either. And my parents grew up in a not so great area and wanted better for their kids. So they moved us to Irvine, which was all of my extended family, which we were pretty close-knit at the time, all lived in Riverside. Me and my cousins all went to the same elementary school. We like ran the streets of our elementary school, so it was kind of hard moving to a whole new city, about 45 minutes away from my cousins, my best friends. Middle school was okay, was still kind of adjusting from the move from Riverside to Irvine. And then high school, I was lucky enough to have my older sister when I was a freshman. She was a senior, so she kind of showed me around. I did sports, cross country, and track throughout high school. Was very close. I was not to toot my own horn, but I was decent. And then I faced a little bit of an injury, but that was something that I was kind of banking on for college, was going to school for running. And when that injury happened, some things kind of had to shift, and that kind of was kind of an end of my world type moment. You know, when you're in high school, I'm sure a lot of you guys feel like something big happens and it's the end of the world. Let me tell you, it is not. Things happen and you go through them and you learn. But that was kind of a big shock for me, not knowing a whole lot about college. My sister didn't go through, she did 1 year at community college and then decided school wasn't for her. So it was everything, the whole application process was kind of new to me, and I had this vision of wanting to go out of state. My parents were pretty strict growing up, so I wanted a little bit of freedom. I applied, and I had this dream of going to Oregon State for whatever reason, had never been to Oregon State, but saw pictures of the campus, thought the trees and everything looked really pretty. I ended up getting in, and at that moment, I got kind of a little scared, I think. I was scared of like, oh shoot, am I going to go spend all this money, be away from my family, not know anyone, and also not really sure what I wanted to major in. So it kind of, I felt a little bit burdensome to my parents for going out of state, paying out of state tuition, and then not knowing what I wanted to study. So I felt a little guilty making that move. So I had the conversation with my parents. I said, hey, I'm going to go to the school if you guys kind of, not really an ultimatum, but like, I want more freedom. Otherwise I'm going to the school. And they're like, you're a kid. That's why we were so strict with you. They're like, but now you're going to be 18 and you'll be an adult. You'll obviously have more freedom. And I said, okay. I made a decision to skip out on Oregon State and go to community college just so I could figure out what I wanted to do, what I wanted to major in. And honestly, that was probably one of the best decisions that I made. That was community college. I went to Orange Coast Community College. Took like a intro to college class where I got connected to my college counselor. And because of that class, she knew me by first name basis. And anytime I like would pop into the counseling center without an appointment, I would just stick my head in and she's like, are you kidding? You have to make an appointment. You can't just be popping in there. Like, wait, but I have a question, because I did want to transfer. I was very, very set on transferring. So that was very helpful. And I think that was the first time where I actually paid attention to what I wanted my future to be beyond just this campus looks really cool. So actually looked around, decided what major I wanted to go through, how much I wanted to spend. And thanks to Orange Coast Community College counselors, they really helped me out more so than anything that I experienced in high school, mainly because it's, I don't know, I put more effort into it. Once you graduate high school, you're on your own and you kind of have to push yourself to do these things. Whereas in high school, I know they're like, okay, you have to see the counselor at least 3 times your senior year. That's not the case once you leave high school. So you have to push yourself and be really motivated. And so first 2 years, I went to community college full-time, worked part-time. So I was still earning my own money, paying for some things school-wise, and then decided to apply to Cal State Fullerton just so I continue to save more money and continue to work while going to college. Graduated Cal State Fullerton with a bachelor's degree in communications, specialization in public relations. And actually my senior year of my college at Cal State Fullerton, I had to have an internship, which just so happened to be at the Taco Bell Foundation. And 3 years later, almost 4 years later now, I am still at the Taco Bell Foundation, not as an intern, full-time employee now. So it all worked out for the best.
Right, that's awesome. Kind of similar theme to Lacey and Marissa in terms of schooling. My middle school, starting in middle school journey, the schools that were zoned for where we lived weren't great. So my dad grew up in a rougher neighborhood, grew up in South LA, and then my mom never had a chance to go get higher education. So they really wanted the best for us, and they didn't really know how to get to better schools, but I heard from classmates who had older brothers and sisters that a good way to get to a good school, I guess, is through a magnet program. So I applied to a magnet program within the neighboring middle school. And for those of you that don't know, magnet schools are either programs within a public school or the school itself that draws in diverse student populations. And that's basically the pipeline to get into this medical magnet high school that was a blue ribbon school and was a good way to get into good colleges, I guess. So once I got there, I was able to help. So my brother and sister are 9 and 12 years younger than me. So once I got that path figured out, everybody went to the same school, the same path, so that it was a better opportunity. So once I got to high school, my parents always they wanted me to be a doctor. So I went to medical magnet high school. I did the AP honor classes, volunteering at the hospital. I was a research assistant at a medical lab. I was in cross country and track as well. Then the last semester of senior high school, of my senior year, I took an econ class, an economics class. It was like my last semester. And then it hit me that I finally understood it. Like I've never understood science before. I mean, I was doing okay, but chem and bio was not my forte. So once I took that class, I was like, oh, I'm like okay at this, you know? So I gave up my parents' dream of me becoming a doctor. And you know, all the preparation I did at this medical magnet high school to become a business economics major at UCI. And for those of you who have had econ classes in economics, we call that a sunk cost. So, but I am very happy with my decision. When I got to UCI, in addition to being a business econ major, I picked up a minor in accounting. I was on the board of the Accounting Association, did some research in economics while I was in school. And then I found a program called SAGE at UCI. It's the Student Achievement Guided by Excellence. And SAGE was really a turning point for me in college because it's a program that's designed to teach students professional skills from low-income families. And those are skills that sometimes students from lower socioeconomic status or lower income families may not have the privilege of learning. So they were able to give us tools to get us ready and you know, give us like equity, like equal footing with other students. So that really prepared me for my professional life. And all of those experiences, the Accounting Association and SAGE helped me prepare me for graduate school and my professional career now.
Wow, I'm like, thank y'all for sharing those stories. Like, I think it resonated with me, and I'm just resonating with students. I'm gonna skip ahead to a couple questions ahead, but students, if you have any questions that you have too, you can start putting those in the chat. I know we're like 5 minutes at time. I know like this has flown by so quickly, but if I can go with this question next is, can you describe a day in the life of your job, like in 1 minute? If you could just share, what is that like for you?
That's a funny question. I feel like each one of us is going to say it looks different every day.
Yeah.
Very true. I'll jump into this first, but I think being on such a small team, there's only about 11 people, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're a $20 million foundation and there's only 11 heads running it, it's a lot of work for these 11 heads. But I think we're lucky enough to each kind of have our hands in a little piece of everything that's going on. So as right now, day in the life is virtual meetings, trying to figure out what is our next kind of move, what's our next pivot, anticipating what's going to hit us next, and then kind of changing with the kind of flow of everything that's going on. So how can we better support, at least for me, my job is how can we better support young people out there that are about to enter college or going through college, and what can we do for the time once they're done with college? How do they achieve their career goals? How do we help them get there? So a lot of virtual meetings for me.
Yeah, it's a ton of virtual meetings right now, but we are pretty lucky with the team that we have that we get to play a lot of different roles. Right now, for me, the big focus is actually we are running a national fundraiser right now, and we have an upcoming convention with all of our franchisees, which is another opportunity to fundraise. So for the next 13 weeks, my sole focus is really making sure that the foundation has enough money coming in so we can support all of the amazing programs and students that need our help next year. And so it's everything from helping with training for the team members that work in restaurants to I'm talking to some of our vendors to help get auction items that we can auction off to raise money. I help with, if you drive through a Taco Bell right now, you will see some signage talking about the Taco Bell Foundation and how you can round up to donate. I work with our marketing team to make sure that all of that happens, has the right language and logos. So it's anything that really right now is involving helping us to get money that comes in to support the work we do.
And for me, I like to describe my job as like solving math word problems. It's the easiest way I can think about it. So I work with technology and also with Marissa and Lacey's team on the foundation, as well as Taco Bell Corp, to solve math word problems. So things I do is like forecasting how much money will we make, reporting how much money did we make, like during the national fundraiser, analyzing why did we make this much money and how do we make how can we use that money to make more money, and then lastly distributing how much money can we give out. So
that was a great way to put it. That was awesome. I know we have a couple minutes, but any students, do you have any questions for our guest today? You can put in the chat or just unmute yourself and you can ask away. Had the Jeopardy music right now. Like, dun, dun, dun. All right. Well, I have a final question. I know as we wrap up. Is there any other advice, any like one piece of advice that you would give to a first-gen student? If each one of you want to share, if one of you just wants to share, it's up to you. Oh wait, we do got.
Yeah, I'll go first. One, always ask questions. I think especially being a first-gen student, feeling like you don't know a whole lot about the college space, you're not going to find out unless you ask those questions, and you only get what you put in. So if you just expect to get into all these colleges without doing the research, without putting in the applications, putting in the work, and really figuring out what the right fit school is, it's going to be super, super difficult. So do what you can, ask questions now if you're about to go into college. If you are in college, just because you're in doesn't mean that you've already answered all your questions. That means now is you're thinking ahead for your next step. So where do you want to be after college? Start networking, get connected to people who are in the field that you're in. So always ask questions and network.
Yeah. I think asking questions was key for me too. It doesn't hurt to ask. You'll never know if you don't ask. And then I think the other thing is like really find the college that's the right fit for you. It doesn't have to be a big name. It doesn't have to be the school that all your friends are going to. It may not be the right fit for you. So really do your homework to find the school that you're going to be successful at, that really matches what you need, what you want to get out of the program. And I think the same thing with your major. I'm pretty sure that every college application that I filled out, I selected a different major because I had no idea what I wanted to do. And when I finally made the decision to go to UCI, I actually switched my major at the same time that I accepted because I can't even remember what I had originally selected, but I knew it was something I didn't want to do. So, do some homework, figure out what the different majors are and what they mean and what the courses are that you're studying. Just because everyone's doing it or just because it sounds good doesn't mean it's going to be the right fit for you. So choose what's going to be the right fit for you, and that's how you'll be successful for a major and a school.
great advice. Mine would be to be resourceful be curious. I think Marissa and Lacey touched on that. Never stop learning. Just because we may not have the same exposure, to professional environment doesn't mean we can't learn. Now that the internet is at our fingertips, you can research anything, read, continue reading, always read about what's going on, what's happening in the world, and find resources. Like Sage helped me so much. Find resources in the colleges that you go to or the colleges that you're at, that are designed to help you, designed to help first generation students. There are programs that are very, very, very useful. You just have to ask, and you have to research the school. UROP, I think, is a thing. So things like that, just take advantage.
Awesome. Well, I can't thank you, Marissa and Belinda and Lacey, enough for coming today and sharing your experiences. Like, I was inspired by it. I know the students here, I'm sure, have been inspired as well. But thank you so much for coming and being able to share this, your experiences with our students today.
Thank you for having us.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yep. And that concludes our first AMA. So thanks again, everyone, for coming. We will see you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.